is SportsCenter.
The NFL's busy offseason continues. How the league will make more headlines next week, and why one executive is saying no thank you to Leonard Fournette. We'll also take a deep dive into the NFC South, including what the Bucs are planning to do to get Tom Brady's timing down with his new offense. Saints Pro Bowler Cam Jordan might have some thoughts on Brady joining his division when he joins us to talk about this rather unique NFL offseason.
That is hammered out to deep left field. Forget about it.
Hey everyone, welcome into Sports Center. He's David Lloyd. I'm Antonieta Collins. Thank you for hanging out with us on this Saturday. Before we get to it, thank you to all the women and men out there battling the COVID-19 pandemic. You know, David, there are many new realities for us as a result of the coronavirus.
Yeah, I think one of the byproducts is that sort of disorienting feeling, like what day is it? There's a similar deal when it comes to the return of sports. Where are we in all that? Let's check in now an update across the pro sports that were interrupted some 7 weeks ago.
With a deal in place to pay umpires and a June 10th draft almost a certainty, Major League Baseball this week checked off some small print items on its long to-do list before dealing with far more complicated issues. Discussions with the MLB Players Association on return-to-play scenarios are expected to begin in the coming weeks, according to sources. And players, owners, executives, and others remain cautiously optimistic about a summer return. The hurdles, both in testing and logistics, remain cumbersome, making the next few weeks integral if MLB plans to have a representative season.
Since the NHL is projected to lose about $1 billion in revenue if it can't resume play, the league is desperate to award a Stanley Cup this summer. NHL players have been self-isolating for the last 7 weeks. We've called that stage 1. Now we're looking at stage 2, which can happen sometime in mid-May, and players can gather together in small groups and train. After that, though, there's a lot of obstacles. For one, there's a lot of players who've dispersed all over the world, including Europe, and they need to return back. The US-Canada border, that needs to open. And of course, the NHL needs to get the okay from local governments that they can return and play in their cities. But this week, Commissioner Gary Bettman said he's willing to start next season as late as December if they can make this all happen.
The NBA's Board of Governors had a conference call on Friday with Commissioner Adam Silver, and one of the topics of conversation continued to be ownership and the league office's idea of pushing back the start of next season to December, a move that would ultimately give the league more time, more opportunity to be able to get fans in arenas over the course of the season. But for now, the league continues to push forward with trying to find a pathway to a resumption of play to be able to crown a champion this year.
In other news, the NBA has postponed the draft lottery and the combine. Sources telling Woj that the NBA is also holding off on pushing back the draft, though the expectation is that will eventually happen. Meanwhile, the NHL, in a memo, said it is targeting June 5th for a virtual draft.
David, as for the NFL, the league is switching its owners' meetings, originally scheduled to take place in California on May 19th and 20th, to virtual meetings. Owners will be voting on potential rule changes that include allowing pass interference to be part of the video review system. That rule was adopted for 1 year and has gotten poor reviews from coaches and players. For more on how the league is navigating all this, as we get closer to training camps, we welcome in our senior NFL reporter, Jeremy Fowler. Jeremy, where do we stand with the NFL's plans for the upcoming season right now?
Well, Tony, the league is operating as if everything will be the same in the fall, because I spoke to a league source who said that when the NFL releases its schedule for 2020 later next week, they'll do so as if they're playing September 10th in the opener, that the Super Bowl will be February 7th, and that fans will be in the stands. The source said simply, "We plan to start on time." Now, they do have contingencies in place where if things continue to intensify nationwide, they can be nimble. They're working with the Players Association and medical experts to figure out all those things. Now, I'm told one contingency they are not discussing is putting players in a centralized location, similar to the discussions you're seeing with the NBA, Major League Baseball, putting people in, Vegas or Disney World and working things out that way. They continue to think that they should put their players spread out, keep them in their cities. And in the short term, they're trying to see when they can get players in their team facilities. Right now, they're doing all virtual work leading into minicamp, but they're hopeful they will be in person in their buildings sooner than later.
The NFL keeping its options open. Now let's talk about some player news around the league, starting with reigning Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes. He said Friday he's confident a long-term deal with the Chiefs will get done. What are you hearing about negotiations between the two sides?
Well, Tony, both sides have had very preliminary discussions, sort of a feeling out process to see where they are. Now, the Chiefs know that there's going to be a gap in money that they are going to bridge, and they hope to do so. And as one source involved told me that, look, there's really little chance that he takes less than $40 million per year in a long-term deal, because that's just what his market is as a Super Bowl winner and an MVP. And so the Chiefs know they have time, so they slapped him with a fifth-year option, knowing he's under contract for 2 more years. The issue is they have to pay Chris Jones, the defensive tackle on the franchise tag, whose market will be above $20 million per year. So it's possible they do Jones first, then they go to Mahomes. Now let's go to the Packers. Jordan Love. Interesting situation here with drafting him in the first round. Sources told me that though Aaron Rodgers very well might be frustrated with the organization and that they expected that as a possibility, the notion that Rodgers will make Love's life miserable is misguided, one person involved told me. Quote, I think Aaron has empathy for the situation. He's been through it, the source said. Now, one of Love's college coaches told me that since the Packers have heavily scouted Love dating back to before his junior year, they know he'll handle this well behind the scenes. He'll, quote, put his head down and he'll work. Now let's go to Andy Dalton, big free agent suddenly. I'm told the Patriots did not call the Bengals about a potential Andy Dalton trade before his release. Now, they could do some due diligence here leading up, but the sense here is Jared Stidham, second-year quarterback, is still in a prime position to start. They have Brian Hoyer as the steady backup. So, there's good value with Dalton. They could look into it, but hardly a slam dunk. The Jaguars, things are trending more toward them. They're clearly interested. They did call the Bengals about a potential trade a couple weeks back, but Gardner Minshew does believe the starting job is his to lose regardless. Now, speaking of Jacksonville, Leonard Fournette, I've continued to hear the running back has been shopped by the Jaguars for running back needy teams, including the Bucs, but they have found minimal traction. One league exec told me in all caps, no thank you about Fournette, noting that his locker room problems in Jacksonville have been an issue for a while. Now, with the Jags declining his fifth-year option, it's possible that he plays one more year there, or the Jaguars simply hope a running back spot becomes available around the league to facilitate a trade. Jadeveon Clowney, another high-profile free agent, he could wait a while is the sentiment I get. He's turned down offers from multiple teams. He did get close to signing with the Browns at one point, didn't materialize. Now he's in a position to let this drag out into the summer, signing with a team that desperately needs a pass rusher, maybe if they have some injuries, because he's had his core muscle surgery a couple months ago, and that sort of affected things where if he leads into the summer, he knows that he will be fully healthy. He won't have to worry about taking an independent physical. He can go do so with a team in their facility and get things done that way. He believes his value will be higher maybe a couple months from now than it is at the current state.
We'll have to wait and see. There you have it, what you need to know. Our Jeremy Fowler with us here on SportsCenter.
Right now, in a normal year, we'd be wading deeper into the NBA playoffs to put a little salve on the wound. We continue to look back on great playoff games. On this day in 2014, Dame Dallas stole the show. Blazers and Rockets, Game 6, Portland up 3-2. Tight, closely played series. 3 games went OT. In this one, Dwight Howard cleaning up late. He makes the foul shot. The Rockets take a 2-point lead with under 2 to go. Now under 1 to play. Nick Batum working. Fadeaway gets that to go. We're tied at 96.
Okay.
To 12 seconds. James Harden with the ball. Tries to get past Wesley Matthews. It doesn't work, but Chandler Parsons, the ball just finds Chandler, and the Rockets find the lead, 98-96, as the ball bounces around. So the Blazers had not made a three-pointer in nearly 11 minutes. They're down 2. Here's Mike Tirico on the call.
A 3 wins the series. It's Lillard. He got the shot off. Lillard, good! Good! And the Blazers win the series for the first time in 14 years!
Great call by Mike. Great shot by number 0 at zeros for the win. What a moment for the second-year guy. It was the first buzzer beater to win a playoff series since John Stockton did it 17 years earlier. The shot over Parsons, he gets mobbed by his teammates. He was asked post-game if that was the biggest shot of